In this lesson, I'll show you how to create and customize pages in WordPress. But first, I'd like to just briefly explain the difference between pages and posts. A WordPress post is what makes up the blog aspect of your site. They can be tagged, categorized, and dated on your site, and they also show up in your RSS feed if someone signs up for that. And I will show you how to do all of that in the next lesson. WordPress pages are similar to posts in that they have a title and body text, as you'll see in a moment. But they're different because they are generally reserved for static content or information. Examples include a home page, about me, contact us page. The pages can have a hierarchy, which means you can nest pages under other pages, making one the parent of the other and creating a group of pages. Generally, posts will be used for your blog content and pages will be used for standalone information that isn't updated as often. Let's take a look at some examples. The first example is a home page. This is on my website, Chicory's Travels. The content stays static. I have a welcome. We speak at a lot of RV shows, so I have a banner right there that people can click to get to our RV show schedule. Then we just give a little bit about us and what the page is about and a photo. Now you notice I still have a sidebar over here. Some people choose not to have a sidebar on their homepage. When we talk about pages that actually have hierarchy, if you look on the navigation for our About Us, they can click on that and actually get to our About Us page. There are also a few other child pages: RV shows we're attending, contact us, follow us, this has all our social medias, and then a story about why we're full-time RVers. Let's look at another example of an About page. This is on the finance website that I've been showing you. And this one, instead of a photo, it actually starts with a video where the owner of this blog introduces himself. And then he actually also has text. Since it's about finance, he talks about that he's going to share finance tips, and then he says, click here to read what financial independence means to me. So that's a main topic he wants them to know about. And he also talks about how he has been able to make progress on his goals. And then he says, clicks to another article. Click here to read about how to get ahead without a bachelor's degree, because that's something that's important to him. Again, this is a static page, and you notice there's no sidebars on this page. Now here's an example of a contact page. This is from another website, More Than a Wheelin'. Contact us. We want to hear from you. Want to connect, have questions, looking for information not found on this site, send us a message. And they're using one of these form plugins that I showed you. Very simple, no sidebars. Finally, here's an example of a Work With Us page. This is from Follow Your Detour. They actually do a lot of sponsored work and social media work for other companies. So they have a really good Work With Us page. They explain who they are and what they can do. They even give 3 different examples here. And this is actually a really good plugin that you can use to get the different columns like this. And then they also give examples under each type that they do. And again, there's no sidebars because they want people focused directly on their page. Okay, I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a page in WordPress. But first, I just want to make a quick comment about home pages. Most people want their home page to be static. That means it always looks the same. And that is usually something that you have to do in your theme. So I'm just going to show you that real quick before we do anything else. If you create a home page, you should come to your front end, click Customize, and then come over here to Home Page Settings. You'll notice you have a choice. Your home page displays your latest post or a static page. Most people are going to want it to be a static page. And then it's either home page, or if you have a different page that you've created that you want to use, you would click Add, and then you would find the actual page title. And you can see here, like, these are other pages that he's created. So he could make any of those his home page, actually. It doesn't have to be the one he named home page. And if you made changes, it would say publish instead of publish. Since I didn't make any changes, it doesn't show that. But you always want to make sure that you do that if you want your home page to be that. Otherwise, you're going to create a home page, but what you're going to have, depending on your theme, but most of them are this way, is a list of latest posts. Now let's go over to my site and we'll go to the back end, the dashboard, and actually create a page. The first step is just coming down on the left side navigation toolbar. If you hover over this, you'll have two options, all pages or add new. If you actually just click on the word page, you have the same two options and they're right down here. So what you're going to want to do is add new. I'm going to create a Work With Me page. So all I've done right here is written a title. Now this editor that WordPress uses is called Gutenberg, and it's basically just different blocks. You see over here on the right hand side, you have document and blocks. Document shows settings for the entire page, and block is just for each different block there'll be settings. As I'm working through here, you see I have an option to save a draft, to preview it, and that's to see it on the front end, and we'll do that in a moment when we have some more content in here, to publish it when we're ready. And then there's a setting bar for other settings. And these are plugins I'll show you in just a moment. The beautiful thing about this is it all can be edited, so if you change your mind later, it's no problem to go back and change it. The only thing that you don't want to change is your actual hyperlink. I'm going to make this a very basic page just to give you the technical knowledge that you need to be able to create yours. And then after that, you can play around with it and make it as fancy as you want. So I'm just going to put in some basic text just to show you an example. So I might say, hi, I'm Julie Chicory, a freelance writer, no, a full-time traveler, and so it's as easy as backing up, a full-time traveler, freelance writer, and public speaker. And then you might want to say something about how you like working with brands or something. So I love working with brands, and we're just going to make it very basic right now. So I love working with brands and locations to share their message to the world. Okay, and then I might say, oh, you know what, I'd really like to have a photo in there. So adding a new block in WordPress is as easy as just hitting enter, and then you'll see this little plus side here. So when you click that, you have a choice of different styles of blocks here. You see a paragraph, a heading, an image, custom HTML, YouTube, list. There's so many different things. I'm going to start with an image, and you can either upload an image from your computer or use one that's already in the media library, or use a URL if you have the image somewhere else. I'm going to show you how to upload one, but I do want to remind you that there is a separate lesson after we talk about posts in which I'm going to talk about images, and I'm going to cover some basics about sizing your images and things like that. But for now, I'm just going to show you how to add an image in a post or page. Computer, and I created a folder called blog images and have one right here. So you just choose. Remember I told you over here where it says block, it tells you information about the block. So if you look here, you'll see that how large this file is, and this is what I'm going to talk about in the images section. But for now, I'm just going to show you that you can actually change the size. Right now, that's 100%, that's 75%, that's 50%, that's 25%. So you see how it's changing the size of that image. That's something that you can do very simply here. You can also change it this way instead of saying percent. Right now it's on thumbnail, large or medium, large, and then of course there's the option of full size. I'm going to go back to thumbnail. And now from thumbnail, I can even make it smaller by, again, going in these percentages. I'm going to leave it at the 100% thumbnail size for now. Now you notice right here, I can even change it. So these are all options with sizing your image only within WordPress. Now it's not the same thing as what I'm going to cover later, which is changing the size of an image before you even put it into WordPress. I could also do a link. So if I wanted this image to be a hyperlink, I could do a custom URL and then put that in there as well. There are some advanced options down here, and that is just CSS class. That's a type of coding. Since this is Blogging Tech Made Easy, we're not going to talk about any specific coding. So let's go to preview and see what this would look like right now on the front end of your website. What happens when you click preview is it generates a preview and then opens it in a new tab. So here you see the way it looks right now is I have my header, work with me, I have my description, and I have my image. And I'm like, geez, I don't like it this way. Maybe I want my image first, and maybe I want this text to wrap around it. So all you have to do is close out that, and you're still on the back end here. Now, over here beside the block, you see this little up button? I can move it up. Now I've moved it up ahead of my text. Although the way it's going to show on my page is just like this, the image first and then my text. But since I want to wrap it around, that's what these little buttons do. So this button, I'm going to show you this one first. It would align and center it on the page, and any text would be above and below it, just like it shows here with these little lines. Over here, I can align it left, and look, it wrapped the text around my image. And over here, I could align it right, and it would wrap my text over on the right. I'm going to choose Align Left. Now, I want to add another block. And this block, I want it to be another heading. So in this place, I'm going to give some offerings, things I can do for them. So I'm going to say freelance writing. Now, right now, it's just a regular text block. But this is what these can do. So I can change it to a heading. Now you see I have an option here of heading 2, heading 3, heading 4. So if you're writing a long blog post and you want to have different heading styles, you can change them easily right there. You see this with more option. This is just if you want to add things before and after, if you wanted to edit as HTML, or if you wanted to duplicate it. So freelance writing. Now again, I'm just going to hit enter. And now it automatically defaults to a regular text block. So I'm going to write, let me tell you some things that you can do with text in your block. You can align it left, you could center it, or you could align it right. I'm going to go with the standard align left. You can bold it, you can italicize it, you can take that off. You can even make it a hyperlink, which I'm going to show you an example in just a minute. You can strike through the text. Oh, you can justify it too if you don't want it aligned right or left. You can underline it. Then there are the same options as before. I'm going to leave it that way though. And then I'm going to put some examples. This one I'm going to bold. So I've just highlighted it and then bold. Articles I've written for Camping World, and then enter. Articles I've written for Good Sam. So these are two examples. So on the first one, I'm going to come back to it, I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to say that I want it to be a hyperlink. But first I have to grab that hyperlink. So over here on the Camping World blog, I've already sorted it to articles that I've written. I'm going to grab that hyperlink just by copying it from here. And I'm going to come back to my page. I'm going to click hyperlink. And there it is. Now if you hit enter, it's going to apply. Now I just want to say something about that. If you wanted to go back and change it later, you just hit edit. And one thing that you might want to look at is the link settings. You see this where it says open in new tab? I'm going to turn that on, because what happens then if someone's on my website and they click this hyperlink, it will open a new tab in their browser to take them to Camping World. Now I'm going to do the same thing with Good Sam. I just highlight it. I need to grab that link. I've already gone on the Good Sam page and sorted by the articles I've written. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to change the link settings to open in new tab and hit enter. Okay, now I said also that I am a full-time traveler, so I'm going to say social media is an offering. Again, I'm going to make it a heading. And under my heading, I'll just give a little bit of text again and say, I can share your brand or business on our Chicories Travels social media accounts to, oh, I know what I'm going to do. Now this is how easy it is to edit. I've decided to change it. I can share your message on our Chicories Travels social media accounts. I'll probably tweak that a little bit, but this is just to show you how it works. And now I'm going to give examples. So again, I want to bold that. Now again, you could change it to a heading. I wanted to show you something else. You could make a list if you had a list of different things, like you wanted to maybe make a list, Instagram, Facebook, you know, whatever. You could make it a bulleted list. You can make it a quote. First, these are all options. So I'm going to just leave it as examples. And I'm going to show you a new content block. So I'm going to click add block, but here I'm going to say Instagram. And see, it tells me to embed the link. So come over here. I've already picked up one that I did. It was a KOA Instagram. So I'm going to grab that URL, come back to my page, and hit embed. Said, sorry, that content couldn't be embedded. Try again. Okay, so we'll try again in just one moment. First, I'm going to do one more example. And this one, I'm going to pick YouTube. So I've already chosen a YouTube video, which was a solar upgrade, and it had battle-born lithium batteries. In YouTube, if you click share, the URL comes up right here. So now I'm going to come back to the page and embed. I think it's going to, okay, and then it's embedded it. So those are examples. And then one last one I'm going to add is public speaking. So let's come over here. I'm just going to add a block. I'm going to make this one heading, and I'm going to call it public speaking. And then, right, 2019 shows and rallies instead of examples. I'm still leaving it bold, but I'm going to put a hyperlink, and this time I'm going to put a hyperlink to my own page. So here I told you on my home page I have this come out and see us at an RV show, and it's actually the whole schedule, so that way people can see what shows we've spoken at. So I'm going to come back here, I'm going to make that a hyperlink, and I'm not going to say open in a new tab because they're staying on my page regardless, they're just going to a different part of it. So now let's come over here and just save it as a draft. And then you can preview it, and here's a work with me page. And then I have my freelance writing, but I don't really like the way that that block is doing because it's coming up here. So that's why it's good to preview, because now I'm going to move that down so it's right under here. And I think I'm going to bold that too, because that heading, it's not bold. Maybe I'll pick a different heading style. And then we have articles I've written for Camping World and Good Sam, so I could click on that and test it. See, it works. Go back. Social media. I can share your message on our Chicory's Travels social media accounts. And here's an example, Instagram. Now I could also go in here and do an example of Facebook and everything like that. Now when you embed Instagram, you can see what it looks like. Actually has a hyperlink that's automatic to your Chicory's Travels. And then it shows how many likes you got. So that's kind of relevant to sponsors who are looking to potentially work with you. It shows your comments, your tags, and hashtags. Then here was another example, the YouTube. I could have put headings on these when we talked about subheadings. It could be, instead of examples, it could be Instagram, YouTube, and then public speaking. And then this one links to our page. So again, if I didn't like these headings, I could still bold them even though they're a heading. I could change it to a different one. I might even say, you know what, I don't want it to be a heading. I want it to be just regular writing. You can do that too. You can add blocks in here. Or if you didn't want the blocks there, the way you take a block out is you just delete, back, takes the block off. If you decide you want to move things around, you just use these up and down buttons. So I could move social media, and then you could just move it up. So I'm going to move social media up. Instead of examples, I'm going to change the word to Instagram. Again, you just move that up to where you want it. You have to move each one of these. And then I'm going to move this one up. The I can share. There we go. And now I've reordered it. I have Instagram. And there's my YouTube video, but I don't have a block for that. So what I need to do is add a block. Here's one right here, and I'm going to say YouTube. And then I can move it down as well. And I'll just save draft. So now I want to show you one more thing, and that's over here on the side. So block, we already talked about. When you click on a block, it defaults to block. And it just has a few things that you can change, but there are color settings. So you can actually change the back of that. So now when I look at it on the front end, you can see I have this little tagline here, and so it kind of stands out a little bit. I mean, I could even make that a quote or just italicize it to make it stand out a little bit more. Let's go back. And then it tells you that it might be hard for people to read. Maybe you want to pick a darker color. So there, how's that? That message isn't there anymore. I think on my social media thing, I might want to make that center text. On my freelance writing, same thing. And my public speaking, same thing. You could make each one of those blocks have a color if you wanted. So these are things that you can do in blocks. Now let's go to document. This is the document as a whole. Now remember I said you can come back and change this later. This is just an example, and as you blog, you might decide, oh, you know, I see something else, I want to change something else, I've done something differently, and that's fine. You can change all of this and there's no problem. The thing you don't want to change once you've published is your URL slug. This is where people go, like this one right now. It's chicory'stravels.com/work-with-me. That's the slug. I can change it now and there's not any problem. But if I change it later and people had the old link and now they come to the new one, that's where they get those 404 errors that say page does not exist. So once you've published a page and you've shared a link with anyone, you never want to go back and change the URL itself, because then that link won't work for them anymore. Now let's just start at the top here and show you that the visibility is public. You could actually change this to private, and then only you and your editors will be able to see it. So you could choose password protected. So this, and then what you do is you put in a password. Now this is great if you want to do extra bonuses for people who maybe are subscribers of yours and you want only them to be able to see it, create a little resource library or something. You just put in a password here, and then that page and any other pages that are below it will be password protected. But for my work with me, I obviously want it to be public. You can also set a featured image. This will display differently on your page depending on your theme, but it's as easy as clicking there. Again, you could either upload a file or use a file that's in your media library. For now, just for an example to see what it would look like on my page, I'm just going to pick, let's see, I'll pick my RV. All of these over here I'm going to discuss when we get to the image lesson. Now let's preview and see what happens when you have a featured image with my theme, because it's different for every theme. It's not there. So that's what's important to know. With some themes, if you have a featured image, it automatically goes right here below the work with me, right below the header. And you might not want that because you might have wanted this to go right below your header. So it's important to take a look at it. With my theme, what's going to happen with this featured image, if I had one, is that when I share the Work With Me page on like Facebook or Twitter or something like that, it grabs this featured image and actually puts that as the image that shows in the Facebook. So you could change it, you could remove it. Down here, if you want to allow comments, you just click that to allow comments. I don't because it's my Work With Me page. On blog posts, I do. Page attributes. So you could create a template that you could use in the future, and that's what page attributes are used for. You could also, right now I don't have a parent page, but if I wanted to nest this under something, so say I wanted to put it under my About Us page, I could do that, and then that's where Work With Me would show. And then when you have different ones, you can change what order you want it to be. Right now I'm going to leave it there. Now you can also, we talked about changing sidebars. So you can change sidebars right here too. And right now it's the default, but you could change it to your post page sidebar. And again, what options you have here depends on your theme as well. When you're ready, instead of saving draft, when you're ready to go live to the world, you could schedule it. Instead of immediately, you could schedule it for tomorrow, for next week. That's very helpful in post, so we'll go over that again. You could also change who your author was. But when you're ready to go live to the world, you just hit publish. It's going to be public immediately. It always says to double check that. I can copy the link and save it. I can view page, or I can just exit out. If you want to go back to your dashboard, you just click that little button, View Pages, and these are all the pages that I have on my website. This one, it shows a little dash because it's under the About Us page. It shows that it's a child of the About Us parent page. I could go back into this right here and change it. So that's one last thing I want to show you about pages. There's two different ways to edit pages that you already have published. One way is you can click all pages and the list comes up, and then when you find it, you have a couple little choices here. One is edit and one is quick edit. Let me show you first what quick edit is, and we'll do the page we just looked at. The things that you can change in quick edit are, you could change that URL, but again, like I said, once you've shared that URL once, it really is dangerous to do it. You could change real quick that you want it to be private or password protected. You could change the date that it was published. You could change the parent, the order, again if you had used a template, and you could change it back to a draft if you wanted and it wouldn't be on there. If you made any of these changes, it would be update right there. I'm going to hit cancel for now. A way to change the content is to click edit, and it brings you up here to the editor. Another way to change the content is from your front end. So if you wanted to change any page on your front end, when you're on that particular page, so right now I'm on the home page, when I'm logged in to my admin, this bar comes up here and I just click Edit Page and it brings me to my content. So there you have it. That's how to add and edit pages in WordPress. Go ahead and do your home page, your About Us page, and in the next lesson we'll get into writing your blog posts.